This is a Squiz podcast. We're your shortcut to being informed.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Tuesday, August 24. In Squiz Kids Today, Operation Evacuate, Kenya's big animal count, our gold medal bocce hope, and the 5-year-old who did a 200-day walk. That's what's making news, kids style.
The lowdown.
Operation Evacuate continued in the Afghan capital of Kabul yesterday as more and more people flocked to the airport trying to get out of the country. You'll remember how we talked last week about how the Taliban had taken control of Afghanistan, a country wedged between Pakistan and Iran. Until recently, army troops from countries like Australia, the United States and Britain had been in Afghanistan, keeping the Taliban out of power. But since the troops decided to leave, the Taliban have taken control again, and many Afghans are scared about what that will mean for them. So far, Australia has evacuated, which is a fancy word for flown out, about 800 people from Kabul airport on special Air Force planes. A plane flew out on Sunday night with 470 people on board, and another landed in Melbourne yesterday loaded with evacuees. It's all a bit complicated though, because the scene at the airport in Kabul is chaotic, to say the least. Now the race is on to get as many others out as possible, including Afghan locals who worked alongside and helped Australian troops during the 20 years we were there helping to fight the Taliban. Was your homeschooling interrupted yesterday by a Zoom crash? Don't worry, you weren't alone. Schools all over New South Wales were forced to cancel morning classes yesterday after there was a statewide glitch in the Zoom universe, meaning no online learning could happen. I'm sure those of you affected were devastated.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in Kenya, in Africa, where the question is being asked, how do you count the number of animals in a jungle? Wildlife officers in Kenya have embarked on a census of wildlife in the country. Remember we talked about the census here in Australia a couple of weeks ago and how it was a sort of stock take of the nation? Same deal with animals in Kenya, where national park rangers have taken a fleet of light planes and helicopters to fly over vast stretches of countryside to count up the number of elephants, zebra, rhinos, lions and wildebeest that they see. In normal times, many thousands of tourists flock to Kenya every year to see African wildlife, so conservation of the wildlife is really important. There are even park rangers trekking through the jungle as we speak, studying elephant poo to work out how many elephants are in each herd. Poo Ranger, it's officially a job.
Sport time.
Tomorrow will be day 1 of the Paralympic Games, which means a whole host of cool new sports for us to watch on TV and a whole new cast of excellent Aussie sporting heroes for us to cheer on, including Michel, who happens to be one of the world's best bocce players and will be one of the great hopes for a gold medal at the Paralympics. What's bocce? It's like lawn bowls for people with what's called a significant physical impairment, which is a fancy way of saying they perhaps can't use their arms or legs in the same way most of us can. It takes an incredible amount of skill to play bocce, and Daniel travels all over the world to compete in tournaments. He was born with spinal muscular atrophy, which means he is in a wheelchair. He can't use his hands to throw the balls onto the court, and so, with the help of an assistant, he relies on using a ramp to send the ball down the court. I've stuck a link in today's episode notes of Daniel in action. Go Daniel!
Squiz Kids salutes.
With millions of us in lockdown around the country and many of us not allowed to go more than 5 kilometres from our homes, How would you like to go on a long walk in the bush? Now, what if I told you that that walk was going to take 209 days and you'd cover more than 3,000 kilometres in that time? Because that's what 5-year-old Harvey Sutton from Virginia in the United States has just done, becoming the youngest person ever to walk the famous Appalachian Trail without taking time off between sections. Harvey said he was never bored, what with all the scrambling over rocks, checking out frogs and lizards, and eating tortillas spread with peanut butter and sprinkled with Skittles. Yum. The Suttons slept in a tent, woke at 5:30 each morning, and hiked all day. Often at the end of the day, the exhausted adults would be setting up camp, while Harvey raced around trying to find someone to chase him. For your boundless energy, Harvey, Squiz Kids salute you.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. Which country is currently the focus of lots of other countries' attention as large numbers of people are evacuated by the plane load? That's right, it's Afghanistan. Question number 2. Which African country is doing a great big count of its animal population? Yeah, it's Kenya. Question number 3. What's the name of the sport that Aussie Paralympian Daniel Michel plays? You got it, it's boccia.
Shout outs.
It's August 24, my birthday. I know, right? And because it's my birthday, everyone else who celebrates a birthday today is pretty awesome in my eyes. And so to celebrate, I reckon we should crack out the old birthday reggae tune. I don't know about you, but I like to dance to it on my birthday. Feel free to have a boogie too. Hit it. And it's a happy birthday today to Luke from Infirmay, Elkie from Cherrybrook, Samson from Earlwood, Lily from Armidale, Marley from Camden, Evelyn from Herberton, Neve from Seddon, Jacob from Roseville, Logan from Porpunka, Ibrahim from Hornsby, Oliver from Five Dock, Luca from Brisbane, and Joshua from Ivanhoe. And belated birthday wishes to Royce from 17 Mile Rocks and Hayley from Mount Riverview. Plus, because our friends in Melbourne, Canberra and all of New South Wales are in lockdown, we're sending out home learning herograms. To Mrs. Bell in Year 4 at Hornsby North Public School for making Zoom meetings really fun. To all the Year 6 teachers at Westport Public School for being so supportive during home learning. A herogram too to the Year 5 teachers at the Good Shepherd Catholic Primary School in Canberra. Toby from Class 4-5P at Camden Public School wants to send his class a home learning shout out and a shout out to the Stage 3 teachers at Adamston Public School in Newcastle, Mrs. Littlewood, Mr. Davidson and Mr. Homer, who make homeschooling lots of fun. Plus there's a classroom shout out to Miss Avenel and 5-6A at Toowong State School, who fortunately for them are not in lockdown. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout out, or if you're after a classroom shout out, or if you'd like to send a home learning herogram, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out. Squiz Kids is proudly supported by the Judith Neilson Institute for Journalism and Ideas.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.